Alright. Hopefully everything's working alright. My internet's apparently unstable today. Don't know what's happening. Um, I've got nothing on my end. Okay, so alright. Well, let's just hope this goes through. Let's hope this works. Anyway, hello, ladies and gentlemen. As a guy here, bringing to the 12th day of the CBL. Tonight, we have the finals of the winners bracket and a losers bracket match today. Today, we have good old TKT versus EFFS. And then following that, we have CBEL versus Ace. Ooh, we get to get some pick bans here. So, banning out Hidden City is TKT, and EFFS bans out Sun City. So we got a double wall for today. So, very nice. Double wall fort, not too unexpected. The TKT ban on Hidden City is surprising. EFFS probably banned Sun City just because it's probably one of the few maps that they don't want to fight. Considering that the other maps that are available are very difficult to attack, Sun City is probably one of the easier maps to attack. Not banning Wall Fort, since it is quite common for everyone to fight on Wall Fort. So I don't expect very much to change there. Both teams going to attack on Wall Fort, so you can't. So it's not unexpected. No wild cards here. I do suspect that EFFS is going to have a better time, since they are, in my books, the better team. But TKT has been in the running for top 4 for recent seasons and tournaments, so they are definitely one tough cookie. So it should be, so it should give us at least a show, at least give EFFS a hard time in some occasions. Now we go to the first battle of the night. EFFS is attacking first with TKT defending. And that's a lot of pikes. 6 pikes coming out from TKT, 5 from EFFS. We also have 3 spears. Kill potential is pretty high. A longbow on the field for EFFS, the number 4 apparently. Looking at the unit composition, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 Scatterpracks available for EFFS and 1 Wing Star and 1 Tundra Humans. How about cavalry for TKT? TKT also going in with a double cavalry. Again, for the defending side, if that's part of your strategy, I guess that's okay. But for the attacking side, I give you less. Oh, well, actually, there's a double cavalry coming out. Another Wing Star been deployed. So definitely got to be careful about these people with double cavalry. It does equal out for both sides, but if you bring double cavalry, you cannot fight on the wall, which makes it very difficult for a wall hold. I did see some shield maidens in the mix, so wondering what they are capable of. Have been seeing them crop up now and again, not particularly specialize in anything, but nevertheless, shield maidens are a tough cookie nowadays. They are very aggressive and use hyperdensity to their advantage. 28 models smacking you for 1,000 or so damage. It's worse than 16 Iron Reaper hitting 3 models for about 3k each, but nonetheless, they do have that shield for protection. So they'll defeat most things that don't have the ability to block break or to ignore block entirely. EFFS goes straight for the small fort, sends one guy to the ground, open the door, grab the supply point, and the rest of them hop over the wall and across the bridge. Well, just the 2 spears, actually. They actually take out... Oh, no, they're going to use one of the cannons, destroy the other cannon to destroy that tower. Very good strategy. You'll probably notice that this left-hand tower here is actually something that's destroyable and blocks trebs. When it really comes down to it, that small action will definitely come out. Whoa! TKT comes out and murders a guy in cold blood. A waste of a treb there, mostly just heroes, and definitely a little bit too high, I would say. TKT grabbing the first kill of the game. Nicely done. It wasn't a Sally. Well, technically it was, but they caught one of the EFFS guys by surprise there. I'm not sure why they opened the front gate, actually. Maybe it was a fake Sally. Hmm. The B-side point did get captured by the two spears early on. No contest there. TKT is fallen back into the grounds. Definitely just going to give them the A point here, so it's going to be a quiet beginning section. No massive battles for yet. But EFFS is taking the cautious route, not really checking. Oh, nice shot into the backs of those medals. Not sure if they're going back to heal up or whatnot, but that will definitely do a number on them if they do push with those medals. That's taken a massive, a good cannon shot to the back. I'll shave off like 20% of your health. 20% for a direct hit, probably 10% for a explosion. All right, with the siege towers up on the wall, massive retreat comes out from TKT. They don't want any of that. EFFS makes their way across the wall very slowly, probably expecting a counterattack at any turn, but in short order, they will grab this A point and no contest. We will move on to the next section of the map, which is the C section. The broken wall should go down shortly as one of their members are killing it now. It's also a good idea to shoot that hut thingy with a cannon instead of wasting a mortar shot. Very important mortar shot in order to destroy it. Can get some long shots and destroy that. But let's see what EFFS is doing. So the wall break does go down. Doesn't look like anyone got their units killed. You have to be careful when you're going across there. Could get your units killed. Interestingly enough, Culverin goes down. More mortars there on the right-hand side. Actually, the culprit did not go down on that left-hand stairs. Kind of baiting it. Very slow approach. Both teams are sizing each other up, just doing a little bit of skirmishing with the cannons and mortars. Well, artillery, that is. The shots are not completely effective as they haven't concentrated on a unit just yet. They're smacking a couple of guys. This corner here is definitely going to be a hot zone. They're going to try to probably grab that Fort Brasho. They definitely should have seen it, at the very least. TKT's preserving every piece of artillery they can. Two mortars could go down to counter the artillery up on the wall, but I doubt that. I highly doubt that. Mainly because it's better off to wait for EFFS to make a move and use artillery elsewhere. You can really survive taking hits. EFFS takes a safe route, go for the left-hand side. Mortar hits directly into the center of what that pile was. Not sure what was clocking around, but that would be a lot of damage. A lot of units stacked up here. EFFS sticks to the left-hand side, going for the stairs here. Treb could be massive as they're walking through. Oh, does catch an Imperial Pikeman and another smack. This will delay. Unfortunately, an Imperial Pike did get caught on the maneuver, and we got some Balconetti gunners shooting. Just better to pull your guys out. About equal speed for either side. Very difficult for units to catch other units when they are on the move like this. Treb, in a very awkward way, Lots of value coming out from EFFS with those trebs. Definitely intercepting for massive effect. Gonna take the backside of the C point, so we've seen this sort of before, kind of making TKT make a bad move here. Best to defend the backside of these wooden wall. But TKT retreats out. Gonna go choke them up here. Um, this is very surprising. Now taking this back wall, EFFS is surprisingly setting up to suppress TKT. So surprisingly, this is very strange. I've not seen this before. I've not seen. Well, I mean, I've seen this maneuver before, but I've not seen this style of how setting up, put down artilleries down, and I'm not sure what they're shooting since what they're shooting at is in the other direction. Got some berserkers in the mix, could be very useful. Both sides refuse to fully engage here. Oh no. There's Tundra humans getting shot by culverins. Culverins can be more effective if they're stacked up heavily. One kill for both sides. Oh man, it's a very intense situation where the battle hasn't even kicked off, and both teams are taking massive amounts of damage as they take hits after hit. I think EFFS is in a little bit of a worse situation after getting a little bit of a tail caught out. We have two cataphracts coming in from the front gate by the looks of it. Another EFFS member just dies. The battle of the horses do kick off in the back line. We do see Cataphracts win out against the Tundra humans. Winged Asars, surprisingly, did not kill the entirety of the Cataphracts, but killed half of the Cataphracts. But the Tundra human did an even worse job, mostly losing the Tundra humans to the Cataphracts. About 6 of them left compared to the 3 Cataphracts that they killed. Now making the maneuver. The Treb was not less effective this time, fully on to this point, and TKT is trying to pull forward. Not sure which direction they're facing. Definitely would face this small direction. This could be a massive Treb as it comes through at a time where the infantry barely makes it. Oh! We've got to be happy about that Treb. 2 massive Treb definitely going to hurt. Clean up Cataphracts could clean it completely up. Unfortunately, the infantry battle is not going well, but Cataphracts are moving in, and nice Imperial Pike March actually catches most of those, but unable to kill them, they push on forward. Nice sweep. Most of those infantry coming up from TKT were massively wounded. About an equal fight here right now, but we have 11 heroes for both sides. TKT is probably looking worse for wearers, mainly because their cavalry is probably going to be a little bit less now, losing their cavalry in the skirmish there. One of the Winged Hussars, and definitely one of the Tundra humans. We have a lot of cavalry coming up from EFFS, so they might just be able to brute force that. Definitely a massive treb at that C point. I do believe, even though you didn't see them get knocked around, those Iron Reapers took a treb in the back. And I'll be honest, a treb to the face on Iron Reapers will take about a third or half of their health. A direct hit should definitely, 2 direct hits should definitely drop them. Unfortunately, the second hit probably didn't come in soon enough as they barely pushed forward when the first treb hit. Cataphracts being able to clean up was kind of expected, mainly because it was mostly Iron Reapers. Sacrificing most of your Iron Reapers in that engagement could lead you in a worse situation in the infantry battle, but EFFS has majority cavalry, could rely on flanking. Not sure about the units here. That border ratio is trying to create a barrier. We got shield units. Shield units going to be pretty much worthless against the cavalry. Really good against infantry, but at this point, the number of cavalry out on the field, I'd rather more pikemen. Also, EFFS does not rely too much on range units, really focusing on the infantry battle right now. Their own Fort of Ratios, again, on a little bit of a slope here, probably not the best place, along with some Zerkers. EFFS just waiting for the last guy to catch up, and now moving towards this right-hand side. Sorry, left-hand side, but if we flip the camera around, another positional change as the pressure of artillery does come through. We got a couple of Falconetti gunners shooting in, not very many of them, so it does seem like it's a partial squad. Probably got hit by a Treb or something. Gonna get shot again by another Treb, but probably moves before it lands if they keep a good eye out. Trebs at the back section does take forever for it to arrive. The losses between skirmishers have been minimal. Both sides losing 10 odd or so units. I do think that EFFS still probably has a little bit more in the bank. Still 5 Trebs. Definitely has more artillery. Definitely have not seen very many artilleries. About 5 lots 2 times. So 20 artillery, my bet on EFF. Going to go super ham once they set up onto that base point. Unfortunately, TKT is putting a good amount of pressure on to EFFS. Has to go for the far side here. Treb in the middle of that, probably to counter engage. Definitely putting that pressure on. Look at the artillery being put down. 2 mortars. They actually put one down. Definitely put that ballista and the 3 ballistas and 1 cauldron. Could put down a mortar here, force them off this midsection. But counterfire from Dalators could take out the artillery. Although their job has already succeeded, forcing the enemy off of that midsection. EFFS wants to go through the middle stairs by the looks of it. That middle stairs looks to be the aim of this approach. 5 minutes, 50 seconds and counting. We have 4 mortars being placed down right now. Could all of them go down? Yes, indeed. Does look like they have zeroed in the distance. Gonna hit that stairs like no tomorrow. TKT is either gonna have to fall back even further away from the base point or have to engage those mortars or suffer the consequences. And that is taking a lot of damage. We can't see the projectiles now because the cameraman we're watching had, from some reason, turned off the projectiles. Man, you'd think that the cameraman would at least have all of their settings set to max. I don't know why. Like, projectile trails probably turned off for that one cameraman. Treb at the top of the stairs does make both teams make a big move here towards the base point. The Treb will be late, hit nothing at the back as TKT has the aggressors here. TKT wants to push them out. Wait, it's coming out from the middle section, slams right into the side. Big hit, cavalry everywhere, making an absolute mess of things. Winged Star coming in from the enemy team. We have more cavalry from both sides coming through, but I'm not even sure who's winning right now. Those Winged Stars did get through most of the cavalry from EFFS, but the infantry has won. So what probably happened there was a massive amount of cavalry coming out from the defenders, defeated the cavalry out from the attackers as they threw them in, but all of the infantry got cleaned up in the push of the attackers, not to mention the supply point also now locked up with a couple of heroes delaying. Superiority here on the final point is for EFFS. EFFS could just win it here, but TKT is putting in a lot of effort to stay alive. Just one pike now switched over to a longsword. Tundra Human just, whoa, being very dangerous here. Does get taken out by the Tundra Human. EFFS has absolute superiority here on the base point. A poleaxe and a spear now jumps onto the point. Got to be careful about those Fort of Russia will definitely clean any hero up fairly easily. Their extended range makes it really easy to hit those maneuvering TKT is being very desperate, throwing in their guys one by one. That Fort of Russia needs to be taken out, otherwise it will create a nice barrier. 2 pikes, 3 pikes now, and a short sword. That dual blade does an amazing job. Looks like we have a short bow at the top, trying to aim those guys down. We got a nice charge by a Cataphract, probably cleaned up the rest of that Fort of Russia, but unfortunately gets sidelined by the Imperial Pike March there. Mass of serfs for both sides. Does look like superiority is there for EFFS, but without more reinforcements or better tier troops, can't take out those cataphracts. Wow, that's a really good halberdier. Halberdier catches quite a bit of cataphracts actually from EFFS. EFFS has to pull the attack now. There's no way they can grab the point in this condition, and definitely clocking down more heroes. Legolas about to go down, and there he goes. CKT could go for this supply point. It is only defended by a Royal Janissary right now, and they are stranded. This could be a good pickup. Living dangerously here. We have very few with resurrections left. It does look like there are some permadeaths for either side, probably more so for TKT, but also EFFS is not doing so hot. We have a Banner Guards actually in the mix. That extended fight for EFFS really losing out a lot of heroes there. Both sides losing out quite a bit of heroes. And now here comes the final battle. Mostly just serfs for both sides, but that halberdier could be the make it or break it. We got some Fort of Russians also in dispersed formation going in with the attack. That Treb is going to be massive if they can maintain them in that center point. Not seeing anything valuable coming up from EFFS. EFFS could be out of troops, which is going to be massive. Surprising, surprise, surprise. I thought TKT had less high tier troops, but it does look like they have a little bit more. But being beaten out right now by sheer numbers. Oh, here comes a cavalry charge. Just 3 cataphracts. Gets way in too far. Now it's just a hero battle for TKT. TKT needs to live for about 40 more seconds, probably 45 more seconds. There's only 5 of them left on this point. 3 of them left. One of them just booked it. The longsword could be taken out. They just dropped the point. Poleaxe has gotten caught. And the spear also makes a run for it. TKT is dying. Here comes a dual blade to save the day. But it dies. TKT, wow. Definitely a fighter. Definitely a good team. Sending EFF to near defeat. Very close. Very close. Very, very, very close. 1 permadeath from EFFS with just a short sword, but overall good performance. We got 1 guy going over 1,000 and 3 guys going over 700. A lot of them clocking in the high 600 and the high 600 and the high 500s, but we got 3 bottom rungers probably taking the L for the game. We got plenty of assists. Look at those assists. We got 14, 20, 20. Now, taking a look at TKT, definitely good top performers here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys going out with the 700 plus, and 1 guy going over 1,000. Well, take that back. We have 5 guys going over 700 plus. That unit score means that you killed an entire warband's worth of units. Not to mention, we're going to look at a lot of permadeath. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 permadeath by the end of that game. TKT pushing it to the limit. EFFS might have lost if they were any slower. But lucky for them. Good trebs all around. Definitely buying a lot of time. Tough contenders. TKT is a strong team. I did not expect EFFS to be pushed this hard. Definitely coming out with some strange and wonderful strategies. Coming in for that left-hand side reverse takeover. Could end up in a sandwich, but got to control control that choke. The chokes is very important. That small door towards C point can easily backfire with a massive treb landing directly on to the defending team as they come through. As you saw with the infantry pile, definitely taken a lot of damage and easily got cleaned up by the cataphracts. Surprising enough, the cavalry superiority out from TKT was definitely the biggest contention. I definitely thought that EFFS would definitely have more cavalry on the field, and we get to see them make a mess of things a little bit more. But a couple of winged hussar charges definitely cleaned up more than their fair share of cavalry. Those winged hussar charges probably turned the tide in cavalry number, allowing TKT to have cavalry at the end. But I think also a big sacrifice from EFFS cavalry was to beat out the enemy infantry, definitely getting that superiority early on during the first push towards the base. EFFS couldn't hold their superiority completely, getting stopped by one hero after the other, being desperate to protect that base point. With respawns on the way, TKT managed to beat out all of the heavily wounded infantry left on that point. Very surprising, very, very surprising. Also, it is good to note that that supply point was being under pressure by two or more of the heroes from EFFS. So TKT did the smart thing and not go back to that supply point, but instead kept the supply point occupied and definitely relied on respawns. You're close enough for respawns, the enemy attackers are not. You kill the enemy attackers, they are very far to get their troops back in, but you as a defender, you are very close. You can get your units in faster than the attackers on a respawn. But you only have 3 lives, remember? 3 deaths, then you're out. Gonna be going on to the next battle shortly. My ear is acting up. Probably because I clean it too much. Whew. Very exciting first battle, and definitely going to be an exciting match between TKT and EFFS. Not to mention both teams trying their very best to gain an advantage against each other. TKT definitely had their jaws ready. Unfortunately, when they made their move towards the backside of the C point, it definitely backfired with a well-placed treb into that center. I do think that EFFS has some idea on what's happening, what type of defense TKT was performing, as they were extraordinarily cautious to take a battle because TKT was definitely raring to go. The moment EFFS was out of position, they wanted to chomp on that entire pile. I'm very surprised that when they made the move to the left-hand side, TKT did not continue to follow them, but instead pulled off. Hello, Meet 2B2. First game, right now, we have the EFFS taking their attack. So it's 1-0 right now. We'll be heading over to the next match shortly. And it should be TKT attacking on Wall Fort against EFFS. So TKT needs to win their attack in order to send it down to a field battle. So that is the current situation, and definitely a very exciting first match. It's very unfortunate that you did miss it. I do really love these matches in the CBL, especially these high tier ones. You get to see some very fascinating moves. Um, the amount of strategy and discipline both of these teams have is top notch. Very different from just your regular sieges. Definitely different from they're definitely a different Conqueror's Blade that you will never get to experience unless you're part of the CBL, and that is and that and that is pretty much how it goes. TKT going to be on the attack. We got a glaive in the mix, still going out with lots of pikes. We got 2 spears this time. 5 pikes though. 5 pikes for EFFS as well. A little bit more tier 4s out from EFFS. Got those Berserkers. Very interesting going out with the Cortaliers, I believe, and the Javelin Militia. We got 3 Bastion Wild Flames and versus 2 Bastion Wild Flames. 3 Bastion Wild Flames out from TKT, so that's very surprising. Um, Again, with the cavalry, a little bit probably in favor of EFFS, but it's not very many this time. It's only about 1 unit worth of cavalry. So EFFS only has about 1 more cavalry unit. Definitely going to be relying on these shield units out from TKT. TKT was the team to take out Imperial Spear Guard and the Shield Maidens. Those units will definitely make up Oh, well, actually, no, there's Imperial Spear Guard out from EFFS as well. Also with the Palace Guards. Those guys, like, they're cheap. Imperial Spear Guards are cheap for the amount of value that they can create. But the only problem is that there's a lot of damage in Tier 5. Could definitely break down a Imperial Spear Guard really fast with a Flail Reaper. And I have to say Flail Reaper because the Sword Reaper will take forever. And if you do cover commander against Iron Reapers actually might lose because infinite blockchain definitely one of the mechanics in game that's kind of unintended, but nevertheless we have the culverins up here on the B side wall being deployed. So EFFS is going to destroy the siege towers by the looks of it. The wall break goes down. TKT could go straight through this wall break, head for the B point, and or going to be a fight on the ground as EFFS. Not sure what they have inside, but could be a wall break hold. We got some mortars being placed out, probably to push them back just a little bit. Now getting shot by Falconetti gunners. Oh, one of the mortar did get taken out. That's got to be unfortunate. The right-hand siege tower did go down. Middle and left-hand siege tower are still very healthy. Could get up onto the wall very easily. Not really a good sign when you're the defending team and you want those things down. Definitely does look like there's counter Culverin fire here, as a Culverin is definitely shooting back at them. But there's 5 sets of Culverin up onto that wall. Could definitely... Whoa! That is annoying. That is really, really good. Using their own ballistas against them. The Jewel Blade came up behind them and got on one of the ballistas and shot them with their own artillery. Definitely very dangerous for the attacking team. TKT taking some unintentional losses and going to have to be careful. A lot of their... Wow, they trebbed their own ballistas in order to make sure that they don't have to deal with it. Gonna use the cannon instead. Can't see the cannonball because for some reason we're back onto a guy that doesn't use projectile trails. TKT is being a little bit wow, that is a slideshow and a half. TKT is wasting a lot of time waiting on those siege towers. I thought TKT would have a better style of attack, definitely have a different strategy if the siege tower did not get onto the wall. They finally make a move towards that wall break, but they're going to get caught pretty hard here. Shields are at the ready. We got Palace Guards ready to charge in. Did look like they were just going to walk in. Whoop. Here's a charge now. The Imperial Spear Guard definitely takes a massive hit with the fire. TKT pulls off that attack and switches to the front gate here. Could be a surprise, but a lot of losses taken out. So TKT actually does not go through the front gate. Actually just pulls off the attack. That's not good. TKT lost a lot, and I mean a lot. That's 100 unit kills in favor of in favor of the defenders, and definitely not making a dent on that defense. Whew, TKT's got their work cut out for them. EFFS definitely puts on a lot of pressure where it counts. Here comes a second push, and this is where the gap is. This is very surprising. Going to take the A point very easily. A small sacrifice, I would say, for the greater good, because the most surprising thing here is that TKT was betting on the rotation from EFFS to happen, so EFFS is forced to retreat, as most of them were already. Very surprising, very surprising that TKT would understand this concept. Definitely EFFS is definitely being a pain in the ass in the butt in the back here with those two cannons facing directly at the supply point. Gonna get that. Oh, crying baby in the background. Ooh, they have better tracking. My eyes lost track of the Jewel Blade. They're trying to keep track of the Jewel Blade, but doing super well at just dodging. Pike should be able to keep up with them. Ooh, uses Mark for Death to run away. Invisibility yet again. TKT has had enough of this Jewel Blade, but this Jewel Blade is being very sneaky. Cannot turn invisible or dismount for another 3 seconds. I think. I think it dismount right about now. But gonna just use their horses to run away far corner of the map. Definitely a good strategy. Try not to survive. Get knocked off his horse. His horse not dead, by the way. Whoop. Does run on the right hand side, Mr. Cameraman. Behind the Trebs, in fact. It is a chase, and there is 4 guys chasing him. Probably does finally go down. Gonna be clocking in close to the 6-minute mark right now. 20 seconds to the 6-minute mark. TKT is definitely gonna make a move either towards B or C if they want to get the best value for their buck. I don't believe that TKT has very much time to actually afford to mortaring unless they only do one good push. But then again, after taking that heavy loss, they're definitely going to have to set themselves up for victory. The heavy loss at the beginning is probably what's going to hurt them in the end. About 100 unit difference. So going to have focus on one push and one push only. I think around about the 3-minute mark, TKT will be forced to make a move, but they could probably move as early as 4 minutes, either to take the B point or the C point for that little bit extra time. EFFS splitting their forces quite evenly across the map. We have a lot of peeps or players just walking around, just creating that presence. Even though they're not in any position to actually attack, their mere presence really stops TKT from extending out without being cautious. Fascinating Treb at the back there. Did hit the Shenji, but the Shenji survives the shot. So that's going to be very unfortunate for the Trebers. 11 Trebs available, so the Trebs have not been used so liberally, but I guess in this second section, Trebs don't really, you can't really use Trebs too much. Once around the C point you can. Alright, TKT is making a move now at the 4 minutes 30 mark, going straight for the center. Does seem like EFFS is going to just sit back for a little bit. Could see some more effective, ooh-wee. The Metallators are shooting at the backside, not doing very effective. A pull seems to have happened, probably switching out units here. TKT not going straight through. Very surprising, very surprising. Taking hits from all sides, I believe. Wow. some mortars come in on some nice angles, actually. I'm not sure what it's smacking, but TKT taking some damage as well. Definitely not the situation you kind of want to be in. TKT is a bit light defense on the supply point, so we have the Falconetti gunners still firing. Both ball sacks throwers have just threw at each other. Not sure if the I'm pretty sure the EFFS Bastion Wildflame's still alive. We got a massive kickoff here. The Cataphrax mostly just gets chomped up by the Medails and followed by a Wing to Start charge. Victory for the front right now, so we have a slow push happening from TKT. Really wants to accelerate this. Gonna have to disrupt that supply point, make sure they don't get another pull as more and more troops get pushed through. Their rear guard's doing a definitely not slowing down those Berserkers and Medails. The supply point is going to be in favor of TKT. EFFS does take a heavy hit, but still on the up and up on advantage. But the heroes died out. They could not pull another unit out, so EFFS is forced to take at the L here and be forced to go to the base point. That pike is going to probably last as long as possible. Probably just buying time for his allies to respawn. TKT could grab the B point, could go for a slow approach, but with only C captured, going to be a little bit of time only. Big losses, so I expect TKT is going to be down to basically half of it's just serfs, while EFFS should have a massive pool coming out. So unit quality is in favor of EFFS. So 3 minutes actually on the clock for added 3 minutes on the clock for TKT for grabbing that C point. Gonna be going on to the right hand side, the safe side. Not gonna fight there in the center. B point is also getting captured. Could go with a slow approach. Could use those artilleries to your advantage. EFFS should be low on artillery. If not, I have nothing. The Trebs does hit, but not very effectively. I don't think it got any kills per se. Probably not. Probably a lot of damage. Didn't see very many deaths come out of that. Don't see any dead bodies at all. So, got some Rattan Pikemen. Rattan Pikemen are fascinating as they can definitely do a number onto higher tier units, definitely slowing them up for their value. Mixing Rattan Marksmen, actually. No, Rattan Vipers are definitely a unit that is severely underestimated when you're down to nothing, but having higher tier units are much better. Cost of 165, although it is a very good debuffing unit, that can't perform by itself. They need to use it in combination, and it's too expensive to really fill out with. Nevertheless, we do have Winged Assaults in the back with Cataphrax probably ready to go at a moment's notice. Gonna go engage once the infantry has all but suffered heavy casualties for both sides, in fact. Lots of medals for both sides. We have the Village Watchman gonna hold the point. Alright, coming up strong right now. The Medals actually waste a lethal march on top of the Village Watchman. Probably not a smart thing to do. A battle on two fronts right now. All the cavalry in the rear for EFFS getting locked up by cavalry from TKT, but they do win out. TKT also smashes a Medal and smashes more cavalry into that pile, but brute forcing through the Tundra Humans and the Winged Stars make it all the way through. TKT could be absolutely routed here as they could not form a solid line. A good stall at the supply point right now, but I don't believe TKT can gain superiority here on the point. The cavalry does take a massive hit. Don't think it has enough time to actually heal up. We have the Imperial Pike Guard getting slammed by the sides of with a Cataphract. TKT cleans that off very easily, very smoothly as well. Alright, TKT cuts their losses and takes the retreat, but EFFS will take one more unit with them before they can get out. A good move, but losing that Imperial Pike Guard definitely probably hurts. TKT is in a situation worse for wears, mainly because the gap between units have only widened as more battles have fought. It's going to be a bit scary as well for both sides having near-death players that are on 2 death. Third death is their Audi. TKT is a little bit up though in terms of reses, so EFFS has more death than TKT. TKT is going to go all or nothing on the supply point. They cannot allow EFFS to make their unit difference, to take advantage of their unit difference. EFFS takes a massive aggressive stance here. That rear section going to be routed. Oh, Wing Star charge could be massive, but we didn't get to see it. The Cataphracts at the front there mostly get stopped. Oh no, EFFS flanks with a Wing Star from the rear, cleans up. That was a clean charge. Now is just a desperate survival for TKT. TKT getting cleaned up as the cavalry from both sides kind of clean up. Whoa, we got a Halberdier Sergeant still around. Halberdier Sergeant is definitely going to be a clinch. Surprisingly enough, cavalry charges from both sides definitely cleaned up a lot of those serfs. Oh, this charge by Cataphracts is about ill-conceived here. Not sure where they're going. They're splitting off, not defending their guy. That pike is a little bit source for wares. Retreats it immediately. Probably tries to survive the unit, but I bet that unit is completely dead. Still having Winged Hussars or cavalry on the table means that any number of serfs could just be eliminated very easily. TKT is probably not going to be able to take this attack at the current rate with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. EFFS has the advantage, but could be a little bit worse for wears in terms of heroes. I don't think TKT is in any better condition after taking another L in a battle. TKT is still raring to go. I think every single member has respawned, and I think they only have one permadeath, while EFFS actually has no permadeath right now. One treb left. Do they have artillery left? They have one mortar being placed down. Not going to be sure what kind of value that's going to be able to create, but here comes the battle. That Halberdier Sergeant, definitely the toughest thing I'm looking at right now, as the battle for the final point has kicked off. Pike, militia, and prefecture pikemen plows their way through. Here comes Winged Hussars! Whoa, surprisingly, the Winged Hussars did not do as much impact as I thought it would, as probably it was enemy Winged Hussars. Heroes from both sides dying. Does look like the TKT, the attackers, are dying more than the defenders, and with minute 10 seconds left to go, EFFS here clears the victory. I mean, secures their victory of defending this home point. Their sheer numbers and definitely massive advantage in cavalry here. The cavalry definitely turned the tide yet again. Serfs galore. Unfortunate for TKT. That is GG for them. TKT gets sent down to the lower bracket, so they will still have a chance of coming back for the finals of the finals. But for now, EFFS is our champion of the winners bracket and could definitely be the favorite to win this tournament. They have a point advantage when coming in for the finals, but we still have a bunch of loser bracket matches to go. Berserkers at the very end are almost impossible to deal with, as they're realistically too tanky and they heal like crazy. Not even heroes can probably deal enough damage to Berserkers in order to kill them. Unless you burst it with everything, and you're only able to take off one or two models. But once you start killing the models, they start becoming easier and easier to kill because the amount of range that's required is the same regardless of the number of models. EFFS definitely have some top performers coming out. We got 3 guys coming with the 1000 plus mark. Three other people going out with 700 plus. Probably the reason why we got 3 guys going over 1,000 plus is the fact that they had the cavalry and definitely did not take the L straight into the medals. First cavalry in normally takes the most amount of damage. Second cavalry in gets all the kills and does the most amount of damage. TKT also not doing too bad. We have a lot of guys going out with we have 2 guys going out with the 1,000 plus mark, and 2 guys going out with the 700 plus, but still pretty high. Got a lot of guys, probably a lot of guys going over going in the high 500s and beyond. But nevertheless, that is it for TKT versus EFFS with a 0-2 to 2 to EFFS. I don't believe. I don't believe. Well, I mean, I did think that EFFS was going to win, but I thought TKT would put up a better fight than that. Especially on the attack. Oh well, no, not really. The attack was probably was probably more of the kind of skirmishing power that EFFS has. Kind of the one of the things that's very important, and probably people don't know, is that more confident teams have a stronger skirmishing or presence when they're moving around. It's harder. You know a team's turtling challenge when they don't challenge the skirmishing. Um, One of the hardest things was probably dealing with that jewel blade. Picked up a lot of time and definitely put a lot of pressure on TKT to make the right moves. Whether or not you ignore the skirmishing or directly engage those skirmishing, TKT is a strong team, but EFF definitely the more confident of the teams. They have much better skirmishing power and definitely knows, especially on their attack, definitely knows how to skirmish with the artillery, putting that pressure on, waiting for the enemy to make a reaction. I think one of the downfalls of TKT was telegraphing. Oh, how to say? Um, they were left with very little options, I would say. I think one of the biggest things, well, differences between teams is how EFFS really put TKT on the spot in a bad position. I think TKT also has a really good and effective strategy at putting EFFS in a bad position, but I think in the end it was just a lack of. I think it was just a lack of being dodging those trebs at the end. Trebs and artillery can create a lot of value for you, and definitely not something you want to get hit by the defending side. There's a lot of things that the defending side needs to do in order to keep the advantage, while the attacking side has a lot of tools in order to gain an advantage, and their advantage is quite massive. So the difference between attacking and defending does have the advantage, but a good attacking force can slam right through any defending force because of just the artillery and the mortars. So when you're defending, you really got to focus on skirmishing. Those skirmishing really keeps the attacking force guessing and really puts them in a bad spot. This is why ranged units are undervalued. This is why ranged units are undervalued if you keep your ranged units alive on the defending side, they will create so much value for you, but you also need to keep them shooting. You also need to keep them ranking up the value by actually doing something. There's only so much infantry can do once the engagement has happened. Infantry will die and get kills, but it only accelerates the battles if you go in with all infantry. Same with all cavalry. Majority cavalry from EFFS did look like they managed to keep that superiority even until the end. TKT did not deal with the cavalry very well this time around, but the first time around they did very well, actually having cavalry of their own, only faulting on the infantry. So EFFS had the infantry at the end. I'm gonna take a short break for now. That's pretty much everything I wanted to say about those battles. Next, we're gonna be watching the lower bracket, and we're gonna watch I'm gonna watch two returning teams, be it CBL versus Ace. CBL versus Ace. I think Ace has definitely shown themselves to be a very strong team and even stronger in the lower bracket since I haven't actually seen very many of their matches. I've seen more CBEL matches than I have seen Ace's matches, but I hope and wish both teams good luck. They will have to face off against um, against the winner. Oh, there's a bunch of losers bracket things that needs to be done before they can get to the final, but nevertheless, I'll catch you guys in 5 minutes. But until then, be right back. and almost mirror on the big ban from TKT versus CBEL. I mean, it's not unexpected, the pick bans. I mean, the pick is really predictable. Everyone wants to go Wolf for. The ban on Hidden City, considering that there's been a lot of players, a lot of teams that try Hidden City, I think Hidden City is just easier to attack at this point, surprisingly. Sun City, that's about half-half. I'm not sure. I haven't seen enough attacks on Hidden City to really determine whether or not it's easier to attack or is it easier to defend. I think Sun City probably just does not have the kind of reputation that Hidden City now has since it's kind of been in the scoring phase a lot. Like because Wolfort was since like not an option during the scoring phase, we saw a lot of Hidden City. So I'm pretty sure the CBL team definitely got a lot of experience fighting on Hidden City. Um, Wolfort, classic map. Every single team probably practices on Wolfort. I've got 2 chickadees left, so I'm gonna hopefully eat those before the match starts. Yeah, pretty much dominated. Um, the matches were much closer than you think. The advantage that EFFS had over TKT was very small. It was literally down to surf units again. Like both times on both attacks, well, both attack and defense, EFFS was forced down to surf. So, um, honestly, like EFFS and TKT, the the difference between the teams very small. Also, what Screams? Sorry, was having Screams. Screams a type of food? All right. First battle between CBL versus Ace, otherwise known as Hellfire. Oh, lol. All right, lots of cavalry coming out from both sides. More winged hussars coming out from the defending. Nothing really interesting about the purple units coming out from both sides. Actually, no, we got an Axe Raiders coming out from Ace here. Axe Raiders is very strange. 2 Fenris packs again with the Bagpipers. No accompanying Alchemists though. Hmm. Alchemist probably getting killed too easily. When they're hit by mortars, the Alchemists probably die. CBEL has been doing some unorthodox things with these support units. Definitely cheap to bring in, but whether or not you'd like a normal unit or bring in the Bagpipers. Definitely probably show their value in probably when the surf units start clocking in. A lot of surf units for both sides. Heavy on the small fort here. I think we got 10 guys here heading towards that small fort. We're close to it at the very least. Quick climb by Ace up those walls. Lots of surf units. The CBEL goes straight across the bridge. Probably going to be aiming to destroy the bridge and hold the enemies there. Whether or not they succeed, well, we'll see in a second, as the heroes from Ace looking to run across that bridge. Ooh. They do get scared off. Not particularly sure what unit scared them off with, but I'm pretty sure it looked like a Pike militia. Maybe a bit too far. Could have been a Fenris, actually. Just generally how they position themselves. Yeah, definitely a Fenris, actually. For a unit that only has like 18 guys, it looks huge because of how much space they use. Like you think there's more of them, but because how they're spaced out, but actually very little of them. Bridge goes down, takes out a bunch of serfs as well. Very surprising that the serfs didn't continue to push forward and chase. Um, Battering ram about to get up on battering ram about to hit the front gate. Right hand siege tower did go down. Middle hand siege tower goes down. Left hand siege tower not even touched actually. Wall break getting shot now. Does destroy that weird watchtower looking thing on top of the wall. Heavy infantry being pulled right now. That left-hand siege tower definitely could just get up for free right now. No pressure whatsoever for that siege tower. CBEL also could be making a big mistake by letting this thing up, but if that wall does go down, could focus on to the A point. But with the option of going through either A or B, and you don't want to be standing on that tower, definitely going to be an A push right now. We have Shields and a Medal. It's a fake out! They go for me! Alright, we only have around about 4 guys. Catching the tail section does do a turnaround. Massive battle kicks off. Both sides need to start squeezing, otherwise you will lose the advantage. The Imperial Spear Guard doing a lot of work as they hold. CBEL picks up 2 kills, but a massive Treb comes in, slamming right into their backside. I think reinforcements is slow. Slow for both sides, actually, as they push forward. The shields did look like they died out, but the advantage of holding forces looks to be in favor of CBEL. Finally, the front line breaks down, but the Nafan guards were able to hold back quite a bit. Losses are mounting. Both sides take heavy losses. I think it's only about a 1 unit advantage here. Actually, it's either a 1 unit advantage or a no unit advantage coming out from Ace right now. That is surprising. I think they might have lost actually more. Man, I need to go take a look at the unit difference from earlier in the game to be sure about that. But um, heading into the C point, I think Ace might actually run out of troops at this rate. Does pick up the B point. Will pick up the C point very shortly. The wall has not gone down yet. I'm surprised that CBEL didn't do their all in order to take down that wall. Does kill quite a few units as collateral. I think the scary thing here for Ace is not knowing how much cavalry they're going to have to face, but both sides have a lot of cavalry, and also taking the heavy loss that Ace did. I don't think their infantry is going to stand the test against the number of cavalry that's going to be out on the field. Going to have to be very careful. Very careful. All right, 2 mortar placements have been placed. 2 mortars have been placed down. Whether or not they're going to create some value, we'll see in a second. Going to shoot towards that supply point. You really want to keep the damage to be constant. Enough damage onto that supply point can can kill it eventually. Archery units are really great at suppressing. I know I use my Imperial archers to shoot down onto that supply point. Does rack me up quite a few kills, even killing out some cataphracts. Could do the same with Vassal Longbowmen, but realistically, they don't deal enough damage. Doesn't realistically deal enough damage to some of the heavier armor targets. Could just place a nice old shield unit on top of the point, and you don't damage jack all. Mortars are really good, does a lot of AoE damage, and the more units on that thing, the better. But archer units could also do the same. Whether or not someone actually uses an archer unit is another question as well. A Namcan wouldn't be too bad either. Stack up those bleeds, so the moment they step off of it, they die. Bam, bam, bam. Does hit hard, but whether or not it kills, the constant pressure, that supply point does heal quite a bit. Maybe 2% every second. I'm not sure exactly how much. I'm not even sure how much health people heal while actually on the supply point. Ace could afford for another 3 minutes of mortaring. Around about 6 minute mark is where you probably have to make a move. But Ace is making a move now while the last few trebs are coming through. I think a push towards the supply point wouldn't be a bad idea because CBEL has taken quite a bit of damage. Could do a pull instead. Not going right across to the wall this time from CBEL. CBEL has been using the Alchemist and the Bagpipers. One of the only teams to use Bagpipers, and surprisingly, the Bagpiper difference is actually enough. Like I'll be honest, like if it comes down to it, if 14 units and a Bagpiper versus 15 units, they've traded evenly, like twice over. Strange move by CBEL does a lets them take the supply point, lets them take C. I'm unsure at why they would give up that why they would give up there now. This puts them in a worse position. Treb got smacked right onto those water rush areas. I think it probably killed 2 odd models. CBEL is scared to take a fight. No idea why they're so scared to take a fight. They're getting trebbed again here. It's not like they should be low on troops. We have a Demez Pikeman help, but it's just like... I'm pretty sure you have better troops than that. Why is the Demez Pikeman still running around? There's no way one person already threw in 2 units. There's only been one major battle. Shenji grenades come in as the bagpipers sing their song. That damage could have been that damage would definitely minimalize, but whoa! The dead bodies hitting the floor. That grenade actually did more damage than I thought it would. I thought they would have been mostly saved, but apparently not. CBEL gets another Medal Court. The slow retreat is killing them. One unit after another, every single unit counts, and they're losing a Medal. Very high tier unit here. Wow. And an entire Halberdier Sergeant just eviscerated by that grenade. Oh my goodness. Now the ballista now in a spot for the ballista. Like CBEL wants Ace to make a bad move, but it's just like every time CBEL retreats, it's just like you're losing a little bit. You're losing a little bit. Now the Okay, so I'm gonna have to say it right now that like definitely Ace should be up now. Like after that, Ace should be up. Ace should be up by maybe 2 or 3 units. Definitely not something large enough just yet, but that advantage against equal teams could mean the difference between victory and defeat. 8 minute hold on the base point? I've seen longer, but man, CBEL taking L's everywhere, and we haven't even had a second engagement yet. CBEL has a lot of cavalry in reserve. Their infantry pile is definitely outnumbered. I think this is the reason why they kept retreating, is because their cavalry did not have a good angle. So they repositioned, but it's just like Ace has no pressure waiting for the defenders to make a mistake. A counter-offensive. Um, Ace wants to wear down the defenders, and I'm pretty sure that they're succeeding. CBEL will probably have their nerves tied up pretty tight in a knot right now as the base point gets pressured, finally gets onto that base point, but a quarter of that is gone. Could react faster, could be on that base point, but unfortunately they don't want to be because the ballistas definitely will just shoot them. There was three being built, but apparently not being built. It's just a hero battle. 3v. It's like there's only 4 heroes. Definitely could just whack. Does whack one off. So it's just like you could put more effort into it at least. I can't believe this. CBEL is throwing in more low tier units. Now we have village watchmen here at the base point. At least they have a unit on there. Whether or not it's good or bad, like as long as you have a unit on there, the heroes won't be able to pick up free points. Trebbed at the top of the stairs. Again, another village watchman. The scariest thing here is that the village watchmen coming out really indicate the condition that they're in. The Shenji finally comes and make a scene. Does do a volley towards this point. Nah, the kick that like Ace is raring to go. They're about to kick it off here in the center, and CBEL has tons of cavalry. Ace switching though. They have shields there in the center. That shield is being left in the dirt here as the rear guard. Probably not the best spot. I would actually take the right side, go from the front. But here we go, about to kick off the massive battle. Pure infantry, infantry superiority out here for the attackers. Defenders really need to just stand on this point. You're losing cap points for no goddamn reason. Iron Reapers do a long charge towards that shield. Changes to swords a bit early, but as long as that shield is not in cover commander, it's all right. The Iron Reapers definitely make a mess out of things. Cavalry charge after cavalry charge. Oh man, I'm not sure who's winning, but right now that cavalry charge is mounting, and I saw a medal there, but it's now gone. Brute forcing with the sheer number of cavalry. I think they should have came together at the very least. A catapult coming out from the attackers actually also gets swept up there. The exchanges were very close here. I think in terms of things that are left alive, a catapult from the attacking team and some of the cavalry from the defending team. I really do believe they need to kind of maintain their units, but um, yeah, holy shit. The cavalry charges decimating the infantry line there was like there's more there's more dead bodies from Ace in this case. And great that you pointed out that Ace went down to 5 heroes. So I think the 5 heroes that were left were either guys in the back or guys coming in with cavalry. I think Ace should have a little bit better units out on the field. I think CBL lost more cavalry there. We got 200 humans, 2 cataphracts still on the field for Ace, and Ace will definitely use them to great effect against basically serfs. But again, it was very surprising. Cavalry after cavalry charge into that medal. That medal, I'm surprised. Like, that medal only survived 2 actual cavalry charges. So medals actually cannot survive very well against cavalry. Being the best anti-cavalry unit we have, well, that besides Forte, but like you would have to be an idiot to charge Forte head on. Demez pikemen in Brace are very effective. Would definitely love those guys just in Shieldtron. Picks up the Tundra Humans. Tundra Humans get locked up pretty hard here. This Treb is going to friendly fire, and it's going to be pretty hilarious. Village Watchman goes in, actually. Ace does friendly fire themselves, but it's okay. It's just serfs. That is the last of the Trebs as well. So Imperial Pikemen still left. I'm very surprised actually. CBEL actually has enough in reserve to where it could be a very close fight. Ooh, Imperial Pike March on the angle here, not going straight for those medals, but another Imperial Pike March with Berserkers and coming in with Scylladas. Oh, Ace actually might be cleaned up here. Oh, I might have spoken too soon. The 2 cataphracts have not been engaged just yet. They actually cleaned up the cavalry from the enemy team, and here they come. Oh, man. Cavalry coming out at the last second to clean up. But the Fort Braccio finally gets on to here, but it's little, too late as the cavalry clears it up for Ace. Ace takes the victory here. I almost believed that CBEL was going to hold their defense, but I think the cavalry coming in very late here was a mistake on timing. Really could have secured the victory much faster if the cavalry just went straight in for the main pile. Um, I think it does. Oh, here's the kicker. I think they traded badly. I think what happened was like Cav Heavy doesn't work if you trade badly. They killed the Medals, but it's so costly to kill Medals with cavalry. It's really heavy. Yeah, the trade was heavy. Like that trade toward the base point super heavy. You saw a cataphract, you saw a winged star get locked up, but the second set of charges. So they sacrifice a whole unit of cavalry for the second set of charges to come in to clean up. But the whole problem was that you could go in with more infantry to lock up the infantry and have more successful charges come through. But instead, you sacrifice an entire unit to get one success. So basically, they're sacrificing 2 cavalry to get 1 good charge off. And for every medal that was on the field, they're basically trading 1 medal for 1.5 cavalries because that second cavalry still takes a lot of damage as they're going through that medal. So although medal are not as strong as they well, I mean, they're not strong enough to actually just beat out a lot of cavalry charges, but it's also still stupid to charge medals with cavalry, especially from the front. Charge it from the rear, charge it from the side. That will cause more damage, and you will minimize damage to yourself. So, I Cav heavy really depends on how the matchup works. You can outmaneuver your enemies, but CBEL's choice to go from the front, big mistake. Really should have waited for them to extend the line for you to either come up from the rear or come up through the side. But coming through the front there, I think you should have wasted a little bit of time and come in on an awkward angle instead of coming from the front. That really gave the Medals the optimal situation to do the most damage to the cavalry. But it's still to be seen. The cavalry at the end for Ace was the trump card that really determined the battle. Even with a couple of Imperial Pikes, the Imperial Pikes were occupied with taking out the Medals. so definitely was not used to the greatest effect. Unable to stop those cavalries. Like, I give it that the Medals are pretty strong, and the Imperial Pike would probably not be able to defeat the Medals without the March, but you would have a better shot at winning if you could stop the cavalry first before dealing with the Medals. The Medals are a um, semi semi defensive to counter offensive unit, which is perfectly designed to holding their position rather than attacking. So the serfs really could have gone for a instead of just putting them in V mode, I think a layered defense would have been better. Line after line of pikes, so every time the Medals preached forward, they would take the most amount of damage. And that's the kind of micro where people are probably lacking in, is where it comes down to surf unit. Like when you have lower tier units against higher tier units, you sometimes in your mind you're just like, I'm outclassed, I'm beaten really heavily, so you just go with whatever. But sometimes you really need to think critically and try to make the best value for your buck. If you come down to low tier units versus high tier units, you have to use everything to your advantage. And one of the biggest advantage that, again, Village Watchmen, you could have them in brace formation, and I've seen this before that lines of brace Village Watchmen beat out just attacking Village Watchmen because the ones in brace, every time the Village Watchman walks into them, they take a bit of damage and then a big and it'll be a lot of damage overall. Not to mention, it's easier to stack multiple lines of Village Watchmen on top of each other for the hyper dense formation. So I definitely think that if you have a lot of Village Watchmen, you should set up a line. You should set up multiple lines next to each other, across each other, or extending the line. But the best value is multiple on top of each other. So if you have like 5 Village Watchmen on top of each other, even a hero you have to be a bit careful when charging that, because they could take a bunch of damage almost instantly. I think it's about 1,000 damage per poke if you're walking into a braced Village Watchman. Otherwise, they do around about 300 or 400 damage to you for the heavy armor stuff. It's about 6, maybe 800 if you're light, if you're medium or light armor. Nevertheless, the second battle between CBEL and Ace should come up soon. I'm wondering whether I'm wondering whether or not it is going to be a close battle. I don't think the superiority of the cavalry counts as close for the first one, but CBEL really needs to think. Their defense style really relied on just extending out the resources from Ace. It really didn't matter in that case. You with the amount of cavalry that you did have, you would have probably had a better shot at taking them from the front if you were to defend C than if you were to defend base. If again, like, the cavalry coming in from the front was probably the worst option. There was plenty of time for you to extend the fight, wait for them to get further into the base point, and definitely fight them when they're in the center. But if they're in that corner is kind of like a safe spot. Well, I mean, like when they hold them up into a corner, so when they're turtling like that, definitely not wise to just walk straight into that. Bagpipers and Alchemists out for CBEL again with the strange pick, but for some reason is working out for them. So I'm not going to question it too much. I do think the Bagpipers do create that nice defense buff for getting hit with range, especially. But the Alchemists could also be very valuable when getting poked down. Could heal up just a little bit. Again, heavy preference for Pike. I see 8 Pikes on the field. 4 Pikes for both teams, but mm, I don't like Pike because it has too many things going for it and not enough Um, not enough downsides. It's too good at too many things, but if I was to be honest, if it was any worse than it is now, it would probably be unplayable. But I still digress. I still want that one change, and that one change should be the triple, like, I forget what it's called now, but I think it's like Green Dragon or something. But that triple stab into the final strike needs to be changed from a throw to a knockdown because it is ludicrous that that ability causes a throw. No other class except Pike has an has access to a type of CC which is unrecoverable. So it's impossible to recover from a throw. Choke as well is also unrecoverable, but that's again still attached to using your ultimate ability. Although I'm gonna have to be honest, 30 seconds on your ultimate ability for Pike. My goodness, like some abilities on the longsword takes like 27 seconds to get off cooldown, and they have a 30-second ult. Jesus, man. At least nerf that to 40 seconds, something reasonable, but 30 seconds? I want to Chris cry. From what I see, CBEL using the backpackers to reduce damage taken while charging, or maybe I'm wrong. Um, I didn't see it like that. CBEL really using bagpipers to reduce just like a general combat thing. They normally uses the reduced damage one. Ace holding straight up to the C point. CBEL gonna take the base point and the A point, the B point and the A point really easily as Ace has fallen back. I'm again, my eyes probably deceive me, or I don't concentrate enough on the bagpipers, but the general aura buff really is underestimated. I think I really underestimate the general aura buff. The slight difference in performance between units could lead to a landslide victory, and that is a fact. It's just like the buff is not large enough for like if you the buff is not large enough for you to see a landslide victory straight away. What would probably happen is that if you had a Medal versus another Medal and one of them had the buff, you would see that both Medals would basically kill each other, and one Medal would win with like a quarter of their units left, probably 10% of their probably even 10% of their units left. In the end, that difference is not very large, and that could also be made up through player skill, but times that by many units, and you could actually be up by a whole unit or more because of that general aura buff. But we also don't know if there's a cap on how many units it can buff, so that is also very important. Not to mention that because of the aura size, you really concentrate a lot of your forces, so you're actually more susceptible to getting AoE down in cases where you're defending an important bagpiper unit. I also think that they should be using the damage buff for when they're charging to maximize damage, because while charging, you don't want the damage resistance. You want the damage, because you can burst down a Medal if you do enough damage to it. Interesting Treb, not sure what it went for. CBEL taking the safe approach here on the left-hand side, but it's also the optimal position for the defenders, mainly because once they move on to the C point, the defenders can throw as many units as they want at the attackers. Attackers have really only one shot to get in and take the C point, otherwise reinforcements just takes way too long. The Falconetti Gunners are doing a great job at suppressing one hit after the other. Does a little bit of damage here and there, but not enough damage to frighten off the defenders. I mean, the attackers. Also taking heavy damage, some counterfire from their own Metallictors, or the Falconetti Gunners. Big difference here. Also, with access to the B-side bridge means easier reinforcements and access onto the um, wall here. So cavalry cannot get to them. Ace is not challenging this corner, and I wouldn't want to, but the hero is dying one by one. Two heroes have already fallen. This Wow. Surprisingly, there is a bunch of mortars there on the right-hand side. You probably can't see it. And he's shooting directly onto the supply point, definitely messing up Ace. Ace taking losses after losses. The Shield's doing doing a good job at absorbing hits. But Ace is probably being a little bit too aggressive by moving into a position to attack. But at the same time, they cannot afford to keep wasting time. That ballista is still doing a number on both sides. One ballista from the defenders and one ballista from the attackers. The Falconetti gunner is still have shots left. I'm not sure how much longer CBEL's Falconetti gunners can shoot, but I don't see them shooting very much, so it must have been wounded. So there's only a couple of them left. Maybe a big catch here on the side. CBELs have already moved into a proper position. We've got to be careful about the Shenjis. Getting a bit sandwiched here. Imperial Pikes does reverse. Nicely done, but Iron Reapers there could swing the tide. Yeah, the Winged Hussars came up through the center there and just swept right through. I don't think the Medals were even braced, or even if they were braced, they were locked up in combat and were not able to stop that charge. The unit deficit has swung in favor of the defenders. CBEL definitely gonna not have a very good time here. All right. A small advantage for Ace, but could lead to ultimate victory. I don't think CBEL has very much of a shot right now at winning, mainly because getting hammered in the direct battles. Also, positioning is getting them killed. A little bit of a stutter frame from the clean feed, but nevertheless, we does seem to be back up to the normal. Realistically, CBEL probably took way too much damage from the artillery and the Falconetti gunners to realistically take that C point, but it's very close to be taken. What they need to do is lure Ace into a desperate last hold for the C point. And if they can pick up, like, here's the biggest issue. I know for a fact that if CBEL doesn't take this next attack, or at least win big, they're going to be down about 3 units worth of... well, like, 3 good tier units. So they need to make up for 3... They need to make up for 3 good tier units, and then it will come down to a pure surf battles. So, if it hits around about 7, maybe 600 units left, all you'll be seeing is surf. Maybe a sprinkle of higher tier units. But CBEL really needs to put pressure on Ace instead of getting pressured. They did move up towards the C point, taking a lot of pressure from Ace, but I think what would probably been a better bet was retreat. A tactical retreat after taking so much damage probably seems kind of stupid, but at the same time, it allows you to resupply and get back into the fight with with good stuff. And as well. Using ballistas to guarantee your kills instead of mortars to pressure. Mortars are better at pressuring. Ballistas are better at just outright killing. There's more pressure on anyone if all of your units are near death than losing half your units, because if all of your medalls are basically half health, you could lose them very easily versus already having lost a half the medal. So the difference here is just the impact on the battle. Having less units is not particularly a terrible not a terrible situation, but having near death units is pretty much the same as not having a unit at all. Ah man, CBEL is wasting a lot of time doing nothing, but at the same time, they're just getting shot by what seems to be a culverin from the side. It does take out the mortar and does take out a couple of units. CBEL moving towards the base point, not the smartest thing, I would say at this. The unit advantage is not particularly large, but in the end, they're going to have to do this quick and fast, otherwise pull out. Does look like CBEL does do a pull, not doing for the push, going swinging around all the way to the C point. Gotta have to be careful. Rear guard needs to be in place. The treb is a little bit high. It needs to rely on hitting low, but it's also very, very late. Yep. You want it smack bang into the center of that stairs for the best bang for your buck. Even you might actually want to aim for that corner. Would have been a better spot. All right, the line is extending. Imperial Pike March already comes off the medalls. I think no, the Imperial Pikes from the attacking team does take a hit. Oh my goodness. Winged Hussars, along with Imperial Pike March, does a massive number on the medalls. Here comes cavalry up through the center, does collide neatly into the medalls. CBEL losing massively here, but could be turning around with the medalls that are remaining, surprisingly enough. The claymores actually does a number on the remaining medalls. A winged hussar charge probably ill-conceived as coming in super late. Surprisingly, the unit deficit changes back in favor of CBEL just very slightly. Probably even numbers now, 820 to 815. Actually, now gaining advantage for CBEL. It was 824 before it switched down. Surprisingly enough, CBEL actually picks up advantage. They brought back the unit, and they probably still have some good units left over. So this is a really good condition right now. I'm very surprised how the exchanges went out. The Claymore's melee resistance probably carried the front line long enough in order to beat out the enemy infantry. The sacrifice of the Cataphract shall not be missed. The Cataphract going straight into the enemy medalls, getting stopped when they were all deep in the enemy. Definitely did not miss the fact that the Claymores capitalized on their Cataphract brethren to deal the damage, deal the deeps, as the Cataphracts were already stopped, so they don't deal very much damage by default. Cavalry chargers are way too damaging, or how to say, way too scalable. They hit too many. They hit way too many models for too easily, in my opinion. I think they should hit one model for massive amounts of damage, then a little bit of damage for every time they're in contact with another unit, while also having a deceleration every time they have contact, while also maintaining acceleration of the horse, something like that. Nevertheless, here we go. Final push of the game. This will be the fight for the finish. I don't think CBEL can afford to pull off another attack after this, as lots and lots of serfs from both sides. In fact, we got Imperial Spear Guard here at the front. A Treb, in fact, could be massive. We got the Nathan Bastion Wildflame burning up that village watchman. Oh no, Demez Pikeman with the Pike Militia. Going to be huge, in fact. What's really funny is because there's so many low tier units out on the field, it's probably better to have Scorpions than Mortars or anything. But nevertheless, the battle has kicked off. That Bastion Wildflame definitely going to be the turn the tide kind of type unit. Trebbing themselves, not not good to see, but they still have advantage, and it is only growing. There is alchemists in the mix here, bagpipers singing and using the attack, the red buff. Cataphracts are available, not being engaged just yet. Oh, yes, charge from the... Nice charge, actually, getting halfway through that Medal before getting stopped completely. But without more infantry support, the Medals hold strong. The Halberdiers get cleaned up. Really needed those guys to be embraced when they got sidelined by those Tundra humans. Oh, very desperate final battle. One more cataphract ready to go. Really got to wait for those Medals to make a move. But surprisingly, we still have some alchemists. Damn! Look at those cataphracts just fall like flies. CBEL is going to have to be very careful, as these Medals are probably severely wounded. We've got cavalry still coming out, some serfs coming out, sacrificing everything. These serfs, you got to be careful as well. If these serfs block up the Medals and you get charged, could see the charge go all the way through and definitely do super amounts of damage. Great job using the shield maidens to clean up the infantry. Definitely much better than using the Medals to clear up. Want to hold this. They're trying to hold the Tiger humans back for the last moment, as surf units are used to delay for time. Superiority here is slim. The Oh man, the Tundra humans actually made it, but the second set actually stops them. Winding down, 8 heroes left for the defenders. Got to hold on to a minute and a half of the base point right now. Ace is sacrificing their lives. I think they're going to run out of lives before they're going to run out of troops. Oh, sorry. I think they're going to run out of lives before they can hold, before the base gets captured. Short sword taps. Oh, getting chased. More surf units comes in. Probably just going to be put on attack mode. Creating the bubble around the Medals, probably your best bet. You want the Medals to be in the center. And nicely done, CBEL actually taking their attack. With both sides taking their attack, we're going to come down to a field battle. This is what I love to see. This is what I like to see. I think CBEL really, really, really got lucky with that attack towards the C point, and not to mention definitely traded really well for that cavalry. Both times, both defenders really sacrificing their cavalry at bad times, but nevertheless, also CBEL doing a wonderful cavalry charge, sacrificing it for the Medals, but definitely gaining advantage in infantry. So that is also another thing. Ace, not once but twice, sacrificed cavalry, and I think it was the fact that it was unsupported was just a sad reality. Those two Medals really coming in massive at the end for CBEL. If the two cataphracts went in together, there were two cataphracts on the field. One of them pulled off completely, and one of them charged in. If they went in together, I think they could have beaten out the I think they could have beaten the Medals. But the fact that they didn't, I think that's a mistake by Ace. But here we go! Final battle of the night. CBEL versus Ace. It's going to be... Ace did win their attack, right? Hmm. They should hit like VG's kick. Okay, no. Oh my god. VG. Okay, no. VG has the exact same problem. They can hit any number. They can hit any number of units, and that's retarded. That is retarded. It's a scaling issue. It's a scaling issue, but it kind of works, but at the same time it doesn't. Because hyperdensity is a thing, units that can doesn't have a hit limit are terrifying. Like actually terrifying. Because not having a hit limit means that the more denser the pile is, the more damage and value you're getting. And the worst thing is that the Varangian guards also have this strange effect where they're basically super tanky while they're doing their great sweep. Not when they're doing any other skill, but during their great sweep. They're so tanky that they trade super well against everything. And that's really bad because not only are they super tanky for that brief second, counterplay for the Varangian guards demand that you sacrifice a section of your troops. Um, so again, I think if they want to keep Varangian guards to be this strong, they need to create a gap between when they're changing from shield to when they're changing to axe, or weaken the survivability of when Varangian guard switches to axe and immediate. Because the immediate counterattack that Varangian guards do is so terrifyingly effective that um it's just frankly like ludicrous why it's in the game. I prefer single attacks which do more damage than attacks that hits a lot of people. Oh yeah, no. I think they did something to the axe skills so that there was a more reliable. Okay, so the thing is that the moment you change the axe skills, no matter what state, like the moment you change the axe skills, they would drop. They would like drop dead. But now, for some reason, when you change over to axe skills, when you're changing over to axe skills, and when they use their well, when you change over to axe skills for a brief second or two, they're still super tanky. Like I've seen Iron Reapers only do about 800 damage to Varangian guards when they switch over to axe. But if I fight a Varangian guard that's been in axe mode for a while, um, that's been in like they've been in axe mode for a while, they take twice, maybe three times the amount of damage. I'm like doing like 2k to them now, and and that's the thing. It's just axe mode is still their weakness, but the moment they're switching, it's not a weakness. At the moment of when they switch, they are at their strongest. Like they are ludicrously strong when they switch to axe mode, and in those very second, in that very moment when they're switching, they are the strongest. Like in terms of damage resistance, incredible. In terms of damage potential, incredible. It's almost infinite because the more units that are stacked on, the more damage they can deal. And they have like in shield mode, they have something reasonable along the lines of 60% damage resistance. If they block an attack, that's 60% damage resistance. In While they're in formation, that's also more damage resistance. I'm not exactly sure how much damage resistance, but it is incredible amounts because when they have unbreakable along with in the F2 formation, they tank damage from other infantry like no other, and it's incredible how much damage resistance is in the unit, but still feels squishy. It's just one of the weirdest things, and it's just the fact that too much damage in the game hurts a lot of units, even with their incredibly high health. Varangian guards are frankly not too squishy on some occasions, but sometimes because of how much damage resistance they have in their kit, they're just too tanky on others. Anyway, getting back onto the battle, good thing to note that Chevaliers and the Huskars and Varangian Guards are not available for this tournament right now because this is the tournament, or this is the season of Paragon, and still we got those bagpipers coming out for the CBEL. Really strange that we're not seeing more medium armor. I've only seen around about 6. Okay, so take that back. Ace going in really heavy with like half the team going in with pike or spear. CBEL only has reasonably about 4 pikes and 2 spears. Still a preference, but actually have more heavy armor than Ace. Is that a sign that CBEL actually is on the back foot when it comes down to death matches? I mean, like hero to hero, I think CBEL might be weaker. So Ace could be the better team. Both sides have a lot of cavalry, and as expected on the field battle, pretty much a standard start. Grab the safe points and fight for B. Although CBEL not defending their base point, even though they gave up the B point. This is... Hmm. I wonder. They do have someone finally heading back to their base point. Oh, yeah. We saw someone gunning for it just a second ago. Um, Realistically, the person who's defending B have in higher level games, the person who defends B, like you're at B and you're defending B, have always end up losing. So what's probably happening is that what's better is probably to have both teams be far enough away from each other that you don't get hit by you don't get skirmished, but you're close enough to the B point so when an engagement does happen, you can just get into it. So being on the B point because right now it doesn't matter because there's so much time. There's so much time. It doesn't matter who has the B point. So I think it's going to flip several times. The fact that CBEL has the B point probably gives them a slight advantage, but at the same time, if it does flip, um, it puts pressure on CBEL, but it's also pressure for Ace to actually make a move eventually. Both of them. Well, no, actually, CBEL picks up 2, could pick up an Imperial Pike. Yo, that is very, very good. A very good start. A very minor victory, but that's a whole unit of pikes. A whole. Oh, actually, no. There's probably more than 8 of them left. I think you need to kill. I think you need to kill Imperial Pikemen down to like 6 or 7 in order to clock it out. But I think you can bring out 8. Oh man, I think that's about as much as excitement we're going to see. Both teams are very scared of each other, very scared of a big engagement. I would be too, because the higher level you go, like, look at the CBEL Napoleon guy. Oh yeah, nah, I was looking at top C point there. Actually, going in with Shield Maiden, surprisingly, but he won't grab it because they are rotating around at that point. Oh man, that's gotta be. They're chasing after him. The Tundra Human might be able to get it. Um, it's gonna be scary because Shield Maidens can resist a charge. If he sets up in formation, he could have probably resisted the charge, but he's gonna lose that Shield Maiden there. So, damn. At least he gets a couple of Tundra humans. Not very many, like 3 of them for a whole shield maiden. That's even like that's a really bad trade. Really bad trade. I like the sneakiness, but Napoleon, dude, bringing your unit along with you, you're asking to get killed, especially if it's not cavalry because you cannot outrun anyone. All right, so the advantage that CBEL did have just instantly lost just now. So both sides just shooting each other with ballistas and stuff. Um, I'm gonna be honest, it's gonna be a very quiet game by the looks of it. With advantage towards CBEL. Ace gonna have to keep a Medal or something on their own base point, so they're gonna come up a bit short on the assault. So CBEL could definitely commit all in for a defense at the B point. But they're really waiting for Ace to make a mistake, and that will be shown once an attack really does kick off. Oh yeah, I don't doubt it. A last minute attack. I think also what's probably going to be very important is when the two sides commit. We've got Fenris committing into Claymores. Claymores will probably beat out the Fenris mainly because of damage resistance, but surprisingly overextending could clean up all of these Claymores here. Yep, it does easily. I think the Fenris did take a bit of damage, quite a bit of damage, probably half of it. Ace is telegraphing that they want to attack very shortly, and they're getting a little bit impatient, just a little bit. They're already maneuvering their army. I honestly think that Ace could wind up shooting themselves in the foot if they're not careful of how they approach this. But dominance at the B point, CBEL not doing anything, actually pulling back. Very surprising. Actually lets them take the B point, sorry. CBEL, CBEL, CBEL. What do you want to do? Now that they've lost the B point, the base point will close up in a few seconds, and the switch over, they did have a couple guys go towards the base point, so that is very important that Coco does not touch your base because Coco will take points off of you. It's in Ace's best interest to maintain B. Oh, you're kidding! They actually did cap. So CBEL not only needs to now, wow, an entire charge just gets eaten up. Oh my goodness, but what? Yikes. Forcing through with that second charge. Nicely done. CBEL claims a massive victory here at the B point and now pushing on towards. Whoa, that just. When CBEL wants to fight, they just went in for it. And yes, this is true indeed. CBEL needs to now go all out because that one tick really cost them everything. The battle will now need to accelerate with 3 minutes 40 seconds to go. CBEL needs to go all out, either for the base or for C. Go for the triple cap or go for the base. With both sides basically having near full units, CBEL doesn't know which move to take. I'll be honest with you, forcing them at the base point could open up a gap of defense at the C point. So I would have cavalry rotate around and see if you can smack the C point, at the same time put pressure on the base point. Otherwise, you have to keep accelerating the battle because the defending side will have the advantage, and Ace has the advantage, so they only need to defend. but they need to defend 2 spots. CBEL need to make them stretch their defenses out. And Ace is doing exactly that. They're moving forward. Big mistake. As long as CBEL able to maintain superiority, this is really good. But their tail's about to be caught by a nice charge of Winged Hussars slapping Imperial Pikemen. Only now does the march comes off, but I think that's already a dead unit. Now with the Imperial Pike March is also being used with the Winged Hussar being halfway through. CBEL's train of units not working out as, again, another medal getting caught here. Imperial Pike March missing massively. B point being capped, C point being pressured, but here's the thing, the base point, anyone at your base point, we have CBEL putting pressure on different angles, and if they can stall out the B point, this double stack medal is going to hold strong, or not. Never mind. The Tundra Human just cleaned that up. Jesus Christ. I thought those medals were strong, but apparently not. Just got cleaned up by a Tundra Human charge. And nicely done. Nicely done. That's it. That's it. No way. Nah. Oh my god. Oh my god. Ah. CBEL, CBEL, CBEL. Nicely done. I saw the red dot, and I was wondering whether or not he'll be able to do it. I was sure that Ace would have left one guy to defend, but man, was I wrong. Now, here's the kicker. They could still take this B point, open up the enemy base point, and go for it. But at this rate, CBEL still has plenty of units to just throw at the enemy. Could extend this fight for another 20 seconds or so. We have the medals even making their way back from C. Oh man. Who like Lachin? MVP. Absolute MVP right there. How could Ace make a silly mistake at the very end? Defend your base point, defend the C point. They could have clutched that. But now they're getting clutched back. CBEL, wow. Wow. I'm gonna be honest with you. After the end of this, I have a feeling that Ace is the better team. I think CBEL, however, can really shine in situations where there's a bit of chaos, where they're a little bit smarter. They're a little bit smarter than other teams. I think other teams may be better, more solid, but CBEL really has really can bring in some very surprise clutch plays, and definitely sometimes when CBEL gets going, they can really thrash the enemy. Give them a little thrashing. Yeah, I know, right? Like Ace, a medal. Just put a medal on base. One person less on the defense at C will, like, again, you overcommitted on your defense at C. No defenses at B. Someone just walked up and took your point. That big mistake. Big mistake. I think Ace's big mistake was, again, leaving that to play, leaving the base point open. Like, you hate to see it, but it's also gets a bit of uplifting when like reversals happen like that. When you watch the person who's losing kind of clutch it back at the end, or um, like where there's a big loss, or you just, it's a kind of like you just want to root for the underdog. And in the back of my mind, yeah, I honestly thought CBEL is the underdog now. Going into this, I thought CBEL was the better team. Turns out they're not really that good. Compared to Ace, they're only very slightly worse than Ace. Ace probably gonna go a little bit higher on my list. I do think CBEL definitely does have some tricks up their sleeves though. Can definitely pull off some clutch plays. Also, still very surprised that those Badows got killed by a 1 Tundra human charge. Again, I am very skeptical on Madow's actually being able to stop cavalry, and the fact that cavalry just blasts through them like that is, how to say, disappointing. But does that mean I want Madow's to be more anti-cavalry? Frankly, no. Frankly, no. Cavalry in itself is just they're balanced really badly and require a rework. So I hope people can get on board and tell the developers that cavalry is too OP, charge needs a rework, cavalry needs a rework, and you definitely need a better solution than adding in more anti-cavalry. Because frankly, Madow's are pretty high on the anti-cavalry scale, and they still can't cut it. But today we got to watch two sets of battles. One, we got TKT versus EFFS, with EFFS taking it 2-0, and then we got to watch Ace versus CBL, with Ace losing 1-2. So CBL takes it on the field battle and with a clutch base cap. I'm gonna see you guys on the Wednesday, so 2 days from now. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. But that is all for me tonight. That is all from me tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed my commentary for the CBL tournament. Only 2 days left for the finals, so Wednesday is the last of the losers bracket, and then the Sunday is going to be the finals. And on the Wednesday, it's actually a 3-hour stream, so hopefully you guys can stick around and enjoy. But again, other than that, my name's Azakai. Have a nice day. Bye now.